I call the member for Ryde.
You, Speaker. One of the first motions that I moved upon my election to this place was in relation to the TG Millner playing fields, which are located in Marsfield, in my electorate of Ryde. Marsfield is a fantastic community with a great, well-established series of local residents and a chronic shortage, as is the case across the vast majority of my electorate. And I'm sure when I say this, I speak for many other Sydney-based MPs as well, a chronic shortage of green, usable open space. TG Millner is a premier rugby field located on Vimera Road. It was in fact at one stage owned by the Millner family and many decades ago was bequeathed to community for open space use. There has been significant joy brought to the community as a consequence of this site, and it is something that unfortunately has come under threat in recent times. The reason for that threat is a proposal for development. Now, the proposal is on one hand for seniors living and on the other as a second option for other private residential use. Now, there's nothing wrong with either of those developments, of course. We need housing and we need to continue to invest not only in more supply but also in seniors living right across Sydney. However, as with development comes a need for infrastructure, and we talk often in this place about the need for transport infrastructure, physical hard infrastructure, school places and hospitals, but there is also a critical need for social infrastructure. And social infrastructure, of course, includes the use of open spaces like TG Millner. Now, the local community there in Marsfield has been ably led by Tobias Lord. He's a local resident. He is a hard-working Ryde resident of many, many years and somebody who's done an amazing job in amalgamating local residents, often with disparate views, together around this one issue. The reason that it's so important is because the community, we in Ryde cannot get enough kids onto sporting fields. We've done a good job in my previous role as mayor and as a councillor in trying to make best use that we possibly can and get our kids onto fields as best as possible. But the simple reality is that we don't have enough space. So the threat of losing TG Millner presents a huge issue for our long-term plans. And as we know in Ryde, we're continuing to grow. There are more families and kids that want to play. And so that space is chronically in need. Now, over the previous 2 terms of council, Ryde has played a leadership role in taking up the fight to protect this site, to work constructively with the owner, and also to try and ensure that the community has confidence going forward. A series of motions have been passed in relation to things like exploring whether it could even be heritage listed. Of course, that was not successful. But in recent times, we have embarked upon a series of good faith negotiations with the owners to see whether they would be prepared to allow the council to take that site on. This would be a good outcome for Ryde. This would be a good outcome for community. This would be a good outcome for sporting groups, not just in Ryde, but right around Sydney. And as we embark upon that process, it's important that the council and the community, and of course myself in this role, as my predecessor did, Victor Dominello, are united in that fight. Although just last night, I regret to inform the House that there were some concerning developments in relation to some City of Ryde councillors, with some referring to the potential to acquire TG Millner as a vanity project. Now, upon further inquiry, it seems to be the case that there are some councillors that are a little bit gun-shy about the need to purchase this land if it is in fact the path that we need to go down. Now, this is very concerning because in my time as mayor, the council passed a bipartisan resolution to engage in those good faith negotiations with an ultimate view, if needed, of acquiring TG Millner. Both sides supported it. There's overwhelming community support, and it was a very encouraging thing to give that confidence to community. Unfortunately, we've seen a slight walking back of that position last night, and with another councillor referring to the question of if the council decides to pursue this way. Now, this is obviously a concerning development, and I was really reassured to see the council reaffirm its position last night that it still supports the maintenance of TG Millner for open space, and that it will be writing to councillors asking for them to reaffirm that view. It is important at this time, more than any, that we remain united and that we give community confidence, because as I said at the beginning of this address, there is nothing more important than investing in social infrastructure to keep up with the growth that we are experiencing in Ryde, we must save TG Millner.